Hi, my name is Amanda, and welcome back to our CBMT study review videos. Today is the very first subject type review, and we're starting with music theory. Woo! I will say before we get started, if these videos are helpful, please subscribe. Feels super weird saying that, but if I get enough people to subscribe, YouTube will pay me money through their ads to make these, and that would be super nice. So, music theory. Zero judgment about where you are in your understanding of music theory, okay? This is not a be-all, end-all of everything that could ever be on the test. This is just covering some basics that were helpful and I hope can help you. So we're going to start off with the big one, which is modes. So when it comes to modes, there's 7 modes that we're most likely to see that are most commonly used and most likely to be on this test. And that is Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. And that's a lot to remember. So I like to use the acronym I don't particularly like modes a lot. And honestly, I don't, but here we are. So that's kind of how I got in the habit of remembering the order and the names of the modes. And honestly, to memorize this, just flashcards, writing it out a lot, repeating it, just some of those memorization techniques. Okay, so when it comes to modes, the easiest way for me to think about it is scales. So we'll start with Ionian. Ionian, if we're thinking about the template of Ionian, we're going to start on C. So think about a C scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There is no sharps or flats, and we're thinking about the intervals between the notes here. And so you take that template of the sharps and flats that are in it, and then you just move that from C, and it can start on any note. And so you have to think about it like a template. So you already know, because you know flats and sharps, or if you don't, we're going to review them in a second. You know flats and sharps, and that leads us to key signatures. And we know the key signature for the white keys, that is corresponding to the template that each of the modes are. So for example, in looking at Dorian mode, thinking about, so Dorian starts on D, so Ionian C, Dorian D, Phrygian E, Lydian F, Mixolydian G, Aeolian A, Locrian B. And the way you know this is just I don't particularly like modes a lot, and you line that right up with the C scale. And it moves on like that, as you can see in this chart for the rest of the modes. I also learned and just decided to memorize with these that so it goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Just as the easy way. You're already memorizing these names and the order, you might as well memorize whether they're major, minor, or diminished as well. So there is that. Okay, guitar tuning. It's very important to know how to tune a guitar, to tune anything. That's pretty important to be a music therapist. So, starting with your standard guitar tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. Big jumble of letters. How are we going to remember that? Again, for me, it's big on acronyms. I do Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. Kind of weird, but it sticks in your head. So that's standard tuning. That's what you're going to be using for most things. Open G tuning. D, G, D, G, B, D. I don't know why we're going with the dynamite theme here, but the way I remember this one is dog gets dynamite, goodbye, dog. Again, sad, weird. I don't know if the weirdness helps you remember it, but it helps for me. And what do you normally use this for is folks and blues. Okay, open D tuning. D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. For me, I remember this one as dad, fad, and this is commonly used for slide guitar. Modal G, we have D, G, D, G, C, D. And for some reason, again, just weird things, dog gets dynamite, good cow dog. Again, I don't know. You can make up your own acronyms. That's just what I used. And lastly, modal D is D-A-D-G-A-D, dadgad, I don't know. And then for me, the way I memorized this was, again, trying to write it down in the same order every time. And then just writing it down over and over. Get that scrap paper, just keep on writing it down. And the last tuning, not guitar obviously, is ukulele. And for that one, I remember good cows eat anything. Just how it is. Okay, circle of fifths. So again, the way that we get the circle of fifths is just by going up 5 on the keyboard to get from one to the next, and that's the progression of flats and sharps. The way that I personally remember this is starting on F to the left of middle C is Father Charles goes down and ends battle. And then going the other way, starting at the F, bead, and then G. Bead, G, and then Father Charles goes down and ends battle. And then remember that the left half is flats. So this is really good if you're panicking and you forget a key signature. Writing down the circle of fifths on your cheat sheet at the beginning of the test, super helpful. And if you ever forget the order of flats and sharps, I like to remember bead, GCF, or again, going backwards, Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Okay, transposition. This one took me a while to understand, and this video was recommended in the Facebook study group. And honestly, I'm not even going to try to explain it better. I'm going to link the video. Go watch the video. It's super helpful. Okay, percussion. So percussion is my primary instrument. Love it. Always love to talk about it. A couple things that can be helpful for this test. Thinking about a djembe, which can really kind of be generalized to any hand drum that you're using. At least like the tones. So this is a good illustration of bass tones and the slap tone. So bass is in the middle, your normal tone is on the edge, and then slap is with your fingers on the edge. And then it's also always good to know the clave rhythm, so there's a little visual of that. Dynamics, just a nice review here. If you have 3 P's, pianissimo, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but very, very soft, right? So the more of the same letter there is, the more extreme the dynamic. If there's a lot of the P's, then it's very, very soft. If it's a lot of F's, then it's very, very loud. So the more there is of one letter, the more extreme it is. Okay? So again, going up from the very softest, from the very, very soft is PP, softest P. Moderately soft, mezzo piano, moderately loud, mezzo forte, loud, forte, very loud, double forte, very, very loud, triple forte. There's also the technical names on there. And then, of course, these are not dynamics, but just good terms to know. An ostinato, which is commonly used in drum circles, is going to be a constant repeated rhythm pattern. A ritenuto is the reduction of speed, immediate reduction of speed. And a rubato is just very expressive without a strict tempo. So it's good to kind of know those 3. Okay, next we have the 12-bar blues. This is so important for improvisation, so important for songwriting, and if you memorize it based on the pattern instead of one specific scale, then you can use it in a lot of different ways. So here we have the 12-bar blues chord progression, and it goes 1 1 1 1, 4 4 1 1, 5 4 1 1, and then it could optionally be 5, but for me, it's easier to think 1 1. So for me, as a visual person, I like to write all that out a million times over, just writing it out, getting it out on paper. And then I also like to kind of visualize it, thinking of it like stepping stones. So 1 is here, 4 is here, 5 is here. So that gives us 1 1 1 1, 4 4 1 1, 5 4 1 1. So kind of like thinking about it in its overall like trajectory. It's just a good way to visualize it. And then of course this can be applied to any key once you know the pattern. Pentatonic scales. Okay, these are also super good for improvisation, for for songwriting. If you have a percussion mallet instrument and you can remove some of the keys, you can put it into a pentatonic scale, and then there's no wrong notes to it, which is always a plus. So this example is in C, but again, once you know the pattern, you have the pattern down, then you can move it to any key you want. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. And again, just repeating this to yourself, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. Writing it out a bunch. You gotta commit it to memory. And this can totally go on your cheat sheet as well. Okay, pairing chords to notes. Again, something that takes longer and more work to explain than we have time for here, and why reinvent the wheel when there is a good solution out there. So I'm going to link a video that I found helpful here. There's actually a lot of really good ones on pairing chords to a melody line, so even just looking on YouTube for that, but I'll link this one. And then lastly, talking about composers. It's good to just understand, have in the back of your mind a couple examples of composers for different periods, right? So starting with Baroque, we have Bach, Vivaldi, Handel, and then classical, Mozart, Beethoven, Verdi, romantic, Chopin, Brahms, Weber, minimalist, Riley, Reich, Glass, and atonality is Schoenberg. And apologies if I didn't pronounce any of those right. That's just how it makes sense in my brain. So again, for this one, what I actually ended up doing was taking a piece of paper and I wrote down the category, and then I wrote down each composer's name, and I kind of like tried to play a matching game with myself and like match the composers to the correct category, and just doing that over and over, checking your work. That kind of helped me memorize it. So I know that's kind of a whirlwind of basic music theory review. Again, checking out those videos on pairing chords to a melody line and on transposing. The transposition video also talks about different instruments and their keys, so just, could not recommend it more watching that video. So I hope this was helpful. Again, disclaimer, this is just me trying to help, so not the be-all end-all of knowledge. In this presentation, on the visuals, I did link where these images are from, so feel free to check out those websites if you're looking for a more in-depth explanation. But until then, I will see you guys next time, and good luck studying. You got this.